Why affirmations work. Man's word is spirit in man. Words are sounds occasioned by the vibrations of thoughts. Thoughts are vibrations sent forth by the ego or soul. Every word that leaves your mouth ought to be potent with your genuine soul vibration. Words in most people are lifeless because they are automatically put forth into the ether without being impregnated with soul force. Too much talking, exaggeration, or falsehood used in connection with words is like shooting bullets out of a toy gun without gunpowder. That is why the prayers or words of such people do not produce any desired, definite change in the order of things. Every word you utter must have meaning. Every word you put forth must represent not only truth, but some of your realized soul force. Words without soul force are husks without the corn. Words that are saturated with sincerity, conviction, faith, and intuition are like highly explosive vibration bombs, which, when let out, are sure to explode the rocks of difficulties and create the change desired. Avoid speaking unpleasant words, even though they are true. Words must be intoned according to the convictions within. Sincere words or affirmations repeated understandingly, feelingly, and willingly are sure to move the omnipresent cosmic vibratory force and render you aid in your difficulty. Only appeal to that force with infinite confidence, casting out all doubt and the spirit of looking for the desired result. If you don't do this, your appealing attention is deflected and sidetracked from its objective mark. Besides, you cannot sow the vibratory prayer seed in the soil of cosmic consciousness and then pick it out every minute to see if it has germinated into the desired result or not. It should be remembered that there is nothing greater in power than the cosmic consciousness or God. The power of cosmic consciousness is greater than the power of your mind or the mind of others. Thus, you should seek its aid alone. But this does not mean that you should make yourself passive, inert, or credulous, or that you should minimize the power of your mind. Remember, God helps those who help themselves. He gave you willpower, concentration, faith, reason, and common sense to help yourself in your bodily or mental afflictions. You must use them all as you seek divine help. But remember, in using your own willpower or common sense to get rid of a difficulty or disease, you must not rely wholly on or harness yourself solely to your ego and thus disconnect yourself from the divine force. Always during affirmations or prayer vibrations, feel that you are using your own but God-given power to heal yourself or others. Always believe that it is not God only but yourself also, who, as his beloved child, tries to employ his given will, reason, etc., to react to the difficult problems of life. A balance must be struck between the old idea of wholly depending on God and the modern way of sole dependence on the ego. During different affirmations, the attitude of the mind should be different. Will affirmations should be accompanied by strong will. Feeling affirmations by devotion. Reason affirmations by intelligence and devotion. Imagination affirmations by firm fancy and faith. In healing others, select the affirmation suitable to the cognitive, imaginative, emotional, or thoughtful temperament of your patient. In all affirmations, the intensity of attention comes first, but continuity and repetition count a great deal too. Impregnate your affirmations with your devotion, will, and faith, intensely and repeatedly, unmindful of the results, which will naturally come as the fruit of your labors. During the physical curing process, the attention must not be on the disease, which always dampens faith, but on the mind. During mental cures of fear, anger, any bad habit, consciousness of failure, nervousness, etc., concentration should be on the opposite mental quality. The cure for fear is culturing the consciousness of bravery. For anger, peace. For weakness, strength. For sickness, health. In trying to get rid of a physical or mental sickness by mental or physical methods, one often concentrates more on the gripping power of the disease than on the possibility of a cure, thus permitting the disease to become a mental as well as a physical habit. This is especially true of most cases of nervousness, where the disease is felt long after it is physically cured. Each physical activity or bodily sensation of disease or health cuts grooves on the brain cells, which further automatically awaken certain habits of disease or health. The subconscious habit of disease or health consciousness exerts a strong influence on the continuity of chronic diseases. Chronic mental or physical diseases have always a deep root in the subconscious mind. In a mental or physical disturbance, one ought to be able to pull out its roots from the subconscious mind. That is why all affirmations practiced by the conscious mind ought to be impressive enough to stay as mental habits in the subconscious mind, which would in turn, again, automatically influence the conscious mind. Strong conscious affirmation, thus being reinforced, reacts on the mind and body through the medium of the subconscious. Still stronger conscious will or devotion affirmations not only reach the subconscious, but the superconscious, the magic storehouse or factory of all miraculous mental powers. Individual affirmations should be practiced willingly, feelingly, intelligently, and devotionally, once in a while loudly, when nobody is listening, but mostly mentally, not even in a whisper, with ever-increasing intensity of attention and continuity. The attention, from the very beginning of affirmation, must steadily increase and should never be allowed to flag. Flagging attention should be brought back like a truant child and repeatedly and patiently trained to perform its given task. Attentive, intelligent repetition and patience are the creators of habits, and these ought to be employed during all affirmations. Such deep and long-continued affirmations for curing chronic mental or bodily afflictions should be practiced mentally until they become almost a part of one's intuitional convictions, by utterly ignoring unchanged or contrary results, if any. It is better to die, if death has to come, with the conviction of being cured than with the consciousness of a mental or bodily ailment being incurable. Another fact should always be remembered. Though death may be the necessary end of the body according to present human knowledge, it has no fixed time. Rather, even if it has, it can be modified or changed by the superconscious power of the soul. As such, all affirmations, in order to reach the superconscious, must be free from all uncertainties, doubts, and inattention. Attention and devotion are lights that can lead ever blindly uttered affirmations to the subconscious and the superconscious. The greater their power, the farther they can usher the vibrations of different affirmations to their subconscious or superconscious destinations. Drugs, medicine, massage, spinal adjustment, or electrical treatment all help to bring back the lost harmonious condition of the cells by chemicalization of the blood or stimulation of certain tissues. These are external methods that sometimes assist the life energy to effect a cure, but they have no power to act on a dead body from which the life energy has vanished, for there is nothing in a dead man that can utilize the properties of medicine or electrical currents. Without life energy, medicines, etc., cannot have any healing effect on the human body. Hence, it is the life energy alone that can effect a cure. All external methods of stimulation can only cooperate with life energy and are powerless without it. Cure according to temperament, imagination, convincing reason, faith, emotion, or will can be employed according to the specific imaginative, intellectual, emotional, or conative nature of the individual. Few people know this. Ku wants to cure all persons by autosuggestion only. But a diseased person of an intellectual type is not susceptible to suggestion and can only be influenced by a metaphysical discussion of the power of consciousness over the body. He needs to understand mentally the power of the mind over the body. If he can realize, for instance, that blisters can be produced by hypnosis, as Professor James points out in his Principles of Psychology, similarly, he can understand the power of the mind to cure disease. If the mind can produce ill health, it can also produce good health. Autosuggestion is also powerless to act on the type of man characterized by strong willpower. He needs the stimulation of his willpower instead of his imagination if he wants to be cured of his ailment. A case is recorded of an emotional person who had lost his power of speech and regained it when running out of a burning house. The sudden shock produced by the sight of fire stimulated his feelings so much that he shouted, "Fire! Fire!" not remembering that he had previously been unable to speak. A strong emotion overcomes the power of the subconscious mental disease habit. This story illustrates the power of intense attention, which should be used in connection with affirmations for curing bodily sickness. During my first steamer trip from India to Colombo, I was suddenly taken unawares by a spell of seasickness and lost the valuable contents of my stomach. I resented the experience because it was sprung on me without my willing permission to accept it at a time when I was enjoying my first experience of a floating room, the cabin, and a swimming village. I determined never to be tricked again like that. I advanced my foot and planted it firmly on the floor of the cabin, commanding my will to never accept the seasick experience again. Later, though I was on the water for 50 days, coming from Calcutta to Boston, and for a month going to Japan, and 26 days from Seattle to Alaska and back, I was never seasick again, despite rough seas that caused almost everyone else on board to be sick. Will, imagination, reason, or feeling cannot by themselves affect a physical cure. They only act as different agents that, according to the different temperaments of individuals, can stimulate life energy to awaken and cure a certain ailment. In the case of paralysis of the arm, if the will or imagination is continuously stimulated, then life energy will suddenly rush to the diseased nervous channels, curing the tissues and the paralyzed arm. The repetition of affirmations must be firm and continuous so that the strength of the will and imagination is sufficient to stimulate the uncontrolled or inactive life energy. Yogoda teaches by its art of concentration and meditation and control of will how to use this life current directly for healing oneself and others. No one should ever minimize the importance of repeated, ever deeper efforts of will or imagination affirmations as given in this book to effect the cure of bad habits or mental or bodily troubles. 2 factors in healing. In planting a tree, 2 things are to be considered: the proper seed and good ground. So also, in healing diseases, 2 factors are to be taken into account: the power of the healer and the receptivity of the patient, who must respond to the healer's vibrations. Virtue has gone out of me, and thy faith has made thee whole. Such sayings of Jesus show that in healing, both the power of the healer and the faith of the person to be healed are required. Faith more important than time. Instantaneous healing of bodily, mental, and spiritual diseases can occur at any moment. The accumulated darkness of ages is dispelled at once by bringing the light in, not by trying to chase the darkness out. One can never tell when they are going to be healed, so do not expect a cure at once or at some distant day. Faith, not time, will determine when the cure will be effected. Results depend on the right awakening of life energy and the mental and subconscious state of the individual. Disbelief fails to awaken life energy, and this body doctor, bodybuilder, and master mason, therefore, cannot work. Effort and attention are absolutely necessary to arouse faith, will, or imagination, which, when stimulated, automatically impels life energy to effect a cure. Desire or expectation for results weakens the force of attention. Without will or faith, life energy remains asleep, and the cure cannot take place. It takes time to reawaken a weakened will, faith, or imagination in a patient suffering from chronic disease because their brain cells are grooved with the consciousness of disease habits. Just as it takes a long time to form a bad habit of disease consciousness, similarly, some time is required to form a good habit of health consciousness. It is of paramount importance that equal emphasis should be given to the prevention and cure of all 3 kinds of diseases. Each causes bodily, mental, or spiritual suffering in man, and must, therefore, be remedied by every suitable method of cure. The attention of most people is fixed solely on the cure of bodily diseases because they are so tangible and obvious. They do not realize that their mental troubles, fear, despair, bereavement, worry, violent anger, lack of self-control, and their spiritual suffering through ignorance of the mystery and meaning of human life are still more important and overpowering, and that all physical diseases originate in mental and spiritual disharmony. Ignorance of the laws of mental hygiene and the spiritual art of living is responsible for all human bodily and material suffering. If the mind is free from the mental bacteria of anger, worry, fear, etc., and the soul is free from ignorance, no material disease or lack can follow. We do not want sickness in body, mind, or soul. We do not need medicine or mental or spiritual healing if we are well. By ignorance, we break the laws of harmony by which the body was created perfectly by the Spirit, and then we seek methods of cure. We want to be diseaseless in every way, and for that reason, our whole concentration should be directed toward the prevention of physical, mental, and spiritual diseases.